What's up and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a classic band called, you know what, let me start over. I can't say anything. What's up? I'm back. Today we're doing Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap from the band AC/DC. This is a classic, so let's get into it. So I have another request today by Brody Atwood. This album was my first introduction to the band, and what's interesting is that it wasn't released in the US until 1981. Now, I remember having this record at my house. I guess I was 10 years old at the time, and it was around the same time I started having an interest in music. Now, there are two versions of this album, the original Australian release and the international one. By the way, if you haven't already checked out Pete from the Lizard King channel, you should really check him out. He's from Sydney, and he has a lot of AC/DC content. He's probably a better authority on the subject than I am, too. So definitely check out his channel. He has some really good stuff. So this album was released in Australia in 1976, and it had a completely different album cover. So let me put it up there on the screen. So there's also a different track list, and let me put it up on the screen there too, and let me go through it. The first track is Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Second track, Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire. Next, there's going to be some rockin'. After that, Problem Child. After that, Squealer. Then Big Balls. Then R.I.P. Rockin' Peace. Then Ride On. And then Jailbreak. That last song wasn't even on the international release. It was released later on an EP in, I think it was like 1984. So the international release had most of the same songs, some new ones, and some tracks from the TNT album. The international version was released in 1981. It was also the same year as For Those About to Rock. It was considered to be bad timing because there were like two versions of AC/DC, the Bon Scott AC/DC and the Brian Johnson AC/DC. And Brian Johnson was popular because of Back in Black, but the release of Dirty Deeds seemed to have slowed the momentum of the new album For Those About to Rock. Even when they went on tour, they were kind of forced to perform a lot of the songs from Dirty Deeds. And this was quoted as being one of the most crass decisions ever made by a record company executive. So with that being said, let's go through these tracks for the international version. The first track is the one we all know, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It's a classic song. It was ranked number 24 on VH1's 40 Greatest Metal Songs. The song is about a hitman who's offering his services. Some of the services he includes are concrete shoes, cyanide, TNT, neckties, contracts, and high voltage. Two of those, by the way, are also album titles. The title also pays homage to a cartoon, Beanie and Cecil, where one of the characters had this business card that read, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Next is Love at First Feel. The song was not included on the original release, but it was released in Australia as a single in 1977 with Problem Child on the B-side. After that is Big Balls. This is a fun song. It's almost like they're doing like a parody of themselves. I remember being 10 years old and with all my friends, and we were all like laughing about it. It had a use of double entendres, which was a common theme for them. This one talks about ballrooms and costume parties, but we all know he's talking about his nuts. After that is Rocker. This is another good song. This one originally appeared on the Australian album TNT. This version was slightly longer and it didn't have a fade out. After that is Problem Child. The song was released in the original form, but it later appears as a shortened version on the album Let There Be Rock. After that, there's going to be some rockin', a classic rock song, has a bluesy riff, and reminiscent of like 1950s rock and roll. Next is Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire. This is another classic, and the international release features a shortened version of the song. Next is Ride On, a slower bluesy song. It was re-released on their Who Made Who album. It's a different type of song for AC/DC because they usually don't do ballads. It's about a man reflecting on mistakes he's made under the influence of alcohol. This is also considered to be one of their best songs. The final track is Squealer. It's a really good album closer. Starts off with these classic AC/DC guitar chords, a really cool bass riff. It's really groovy. Probably one of the most underrated songs. This is probably one of my favorite albums, as I tend to favor the albums from the Bon Scott era. All the songs in the album are classic. I think it's an album that's very well known, and most of us who are over 40 would consider this a classic. If there's anybody younger who has never heard the album, definitely check it out. AC/DC is probably one of the most consistent bands out there, and I consider this one of their best. So for my final score, I'm going to give this album a 10 out of 10. It is a classic. Okay, let me know what you think in the comment section below. How would you rank this album, or how would you rate it? Any other AC/DC albums if you would like me to cover, please comment below. Please like and subscribe. And I will be continuing to doing AC/DC related material for the next week until the release of Power Up. So until then, see you soon. Keep rocking. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, you can please subscribe. There's a button down there somewhere, or I think it's over there. I got some videos. That one's pretty cool there, and that one you got to definitely check out. So see you all later.